I'll be reading April 6th, Wednesday by Jee Leong Koh. Lifeguard, who are you watching in this train, awashed in styrofoam along the aisle? Your shoulders search me with so bright a smile that it goes down, through, like a good champagne. These past months, year, treacherous tides, in vain I've been waiting for a versatile savior to hold me up in dry denial of waters that have swallowed up hard crane. Save me, your sweatshirt boasts of your vocation, from love's inexorable throat. A coward like me who wishes by this invocation to float and flout the flux. Loose limbed lifeguard. What do you have to say? You're on vacation and this is your stop? But that's a huge reward.
Thank you, Jovan, for reading that sonnet. So, yeah, I was the one who chose this poem because Jovan has been quite busy. But yes, I thought there's no way we're going to do this episode on thirst without a poem on lust. So, I chose a poem about that lah. So, I think what's so fascinating about this poem is that the persona is really imagining so many things within like the sanitized setting of a train. So, okay, I think like one important thing we need to explain here is like who Hart Crane is. So he was an American poet he was on this ship to New York, right? And he made some sexual advances to a male crew member, and then he got beaten up. And then afterwards, he just jumped overboard into the Gulf of Mexico and killed himself. So yeah, that's like the key to this poem, I feel. So, in this poem, the persona indulges in like these homosexual thoughts about this other male person he sees on the train, who, because he's wearing a sweatshirt that boasts his vocation, right? Um, the person known as a lifeguard. So, let's just start from the beginning. Lifeguard, who are you watching in this train? So immediately you get like a clash in setting, right? Because when you think of a lifeguard, you imagine the ocean, the beach. It's a very open space where people are very open, desire flows very naturally. But then we find ourselves in a train, which is like an enclosed and sheltered space, right? And also, it's very, it's much more civilized space. People behave civilizedly. People are going to offices or whatever, wherever their workplace is. So there's the contrast between the sterilized space of the train as compared to the last that will come, at least for me, that will come with the word lifeguard.
And I
Okay.
mean, yeah, there's a lot more flesh exposed at the beach.
Yeah, and washed in styrofoam along the aisle. So already in the second line, right, the persona is already imagining things that aren't there, which is washed in styrofoam along the aisle. That's like already the mixture of settings because it's both the sea and also the train at the same time. There's a washed, and then there's also the aisle of the train. Then next, your shoulders search me with so bright a smile that it goes down through like a good champagne. So throughout the poem, the persona is very open about his eyeing the lifeguard's body. So third line got shoulders, right? Then it goes down through, it's like giving a top to bottom view or the top to bottom sensations of the persona himself. And yeah, goes down, like where could down possibly lead, right?
Do you think the
Yes.
persona's top or bottom?
I think knowing he's a but yes. I think it's a bottom.
Yeah, the
Because he
line that
wants to
it
be
goes
safe.
down through like a good champagne is very passive.
It is. It goes down through like a good champagne. No, but actually, right, he might not be a bottom because he has been waiting for a versatile.
Oh.
So I think
Yeah,
he's
we'll get
versatile.
to that
I
later.
think he's versatile. But yes, it goes down
Yeah.
through like a good champagne. Then champagne, right, it connotes drunkenness, inebriation. So it goes back to the delusions, the fantasies that the persona is indulging himself in right now. And where is the yeah, never mind. Yeah, but it goes down through like a good champagne. These past months, year, treacherous tides, in vain I have been waiting Okay, let's stop there. These past months, yeah, treacherous tides in vain. So many caesura, right? It really breaks up the flow, and I guess it reinforces the treachery of the previous years, law.
I mean, it really sounds out like waves, you know?
Mm-hmm. But also breaks up the rhythm of the rest of the poem, I guess, because the rest of the poem is quite, it just flows fluidly, whereas
Right,
this
right.
line is kind of broken up and doesn't flow as nicely.
He's definitely a bottom.
He's not. Trust. These past months, year, treacherous tides in vain. So he has had unsuccessful romantic pursuits. I've been waiting for a versatile, and then the line break here. I mean, he has been waiting for a versatile. Okay, tops or bottoms don't wait for versatiles. Only versatiles wait for versatiles.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Why else would you need a versatile? The only reason you want a versatile is because you want to be done and you want to do.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you read the next line, Savior to hold me up in dry denial. Sounds like a bottom.
No, tops. No, trust, it's not bottom. But yes, that's not the main point of the poem. But yes, he has been waiting for a versatile, just a play on gay lingo, and yeah. Savior to hold me up in dry denial of waters that have swallowed up heart crane. Save me, your sweatshirt boasts of your vocation from love's inexorable throat. Okay, so it's quite interesting, right? Savior to hold me up in dry denial of waters that have swallowed up heart crane. I mean, now that we know the story of heart crane, I was thinking, who is doing the denial? Is it the lifeguard or the persona? So if it's the lifeguard doing the denial of the waters, it's right. It's like the lifeguard who is most likely straight, reciprocating the gay persona's desires. So like saving Hart Crane and like undoing the cruelty of the rejection that Hart Crane faced, even though his sexual advances were uncalled for as well. So yeah, the persona likens himself to Hart Crane, and in this instance, he's imagining, okay, so what if he were Hart Crane back then, and actually, the guy whom he made sexual advances to jumped into the ocean and saved him. Yeah. But also, it could be the persona doing the denial of the waters that have swallowed up Hart Cranes, like the persona deluding himself into thinking that the lifeguard will reciprocate, that what happened to Hart Crane will not happen to him. But ultimately, both is still like the same kind of indulging in the same kind of fantasy that the lifeguard is going to save him out or like him back. And then, save me from your sweatshirt, boast of your vocation from love's inexorable throat. Love's inexorable throat. I thought this was like describing the ocean as a throat. So, and once you fall in love, and similarly, once you fall into the ocean, you just fall in completely, helplessly, inexorably. And the person now wants the lifeguard to save him from this, save him from death. Okay, and also there's like sibilance in these two lines, which like reinforces the sensuality and the indulgence of this reverie that the persona is in. Um, a coward like me who wishes by this invocation to float and flout the flux. So invocation like prayer, right? I think the word save me, the phrase save me, and also comparing the lifeguard to a savior, and that's religious overtones as if you're asking for deliverance. So yeah, it goes back to that kind of fervent passion that the persona feels for the lifeguard. To float and flout the flux. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. Loose-limbed lifeguard. To float and flout the flux, right? It goes back to the denial point of denying the reality that he's gonna just jump into the ocean and not be saved by the lifeguard. Instead, he wants to float and flout the flux to like, yeah, fight the tides are, and also to fight gravity.
You also get like that sense of frustration, right, from the alliteration.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, and also other than the illustration, there's also like the nice ebbing of the meter, right? Like da up, da up, da up. It's like iambic ebbing of the tide. But then that meter is broken very quickly after the full stop in loose-limbed lifeguard. So like to float and flout the flux, loose-limbed lifeguard. Then the loose-limbed lifeguard is the trochaic part, right? Loose-limbed lifeguard. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like to float and flout the flux, loose-limbed lifeguard. Okay, yeah. What do you have to say? So I thought like this breaking of the meter, right, is kind of like him snapping out of his reverie, because you're on vacation and this your stop. The lifeguard is getting off the train. But there's a huge reward, and a huge reward for saving the persona with persona's love lah. But I mean, since the tone is kind of playful, right? I'm thinking the reward's just sex lah. So it's a pretty fun poem. It's very playful, and yeah, it's a poem you can think about when you're in public and there are eye candies about. Yeah. Thoughts?
I mean, he definitely sounds very thirsty. Yeah,
Yeah, he is very thirsty.
yeah. I like the love's inexorable truth simile. I mean, not simile, metaphor
Yeah.
of comparing it to the sea, right? Yeah, it's like quite interesting. Like, it's like a bottomless pit to a bigger. I don't know. That's what I was imagining in my head. Yeah, I mean, this is like one of those intense fantasies people have, and then they just go on and then they write it on a poem. That is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But it's also,
No, but the poem itself has literary merit.
yeah, it has literary meaning.
Yes, definitely. What I also found interesting was the common motif of like oceans and seas. And I think in both of the poems that we've already discussed, we find a speaker or a persona kind of grappling with this higher power, right? Like, so for example, in Pilgrim Crow, we have a crow who's sort of grappling with what to expect in this infinite, kind of sort of endless ocean. Whereas in April 6th Wednesday, we have this persona who's, enchanted by a lifeguard, right? Who is definitely in his element when it comes to the ocean and swimming and saving people. And I mean, yeah, I think it was quite striking to me, uh, maybe about how we tend to be entranced by things that we can't really comprehend, things that are just way too much for us to understand or are larger than ourselves. And I mean, I think it would be interesting to consider how that will apply to our own thirsts and desires. How we're always pursuing something that's bigger than us.
Wait, do you think that we thirst for things that we can't have? Or things that we don't have?
I mean, at first glance, it does seem like it, but I think a more interesting question to ask is, will we ever thirst for things that we already have? Right? This is a really weird segue, but I recently watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So in it, there was this character, right, Goldilocks. And I mean, if you're familiar with the fairy tale, Goldilocks.
Is it the porridge one?
Yeah, the porridge one. So Goldilocks is in the film and in the fairy tale also, I think. She's this orphan who wanders into the bear's home, and she eats their porridge and whatever. She sleeps in her house. And in Puss in Boots, right? Her story arc is basically about her wanting a family, and how she's positioned in Puss in Boots is that she's working with the bears as sort of like this crime family, going around and wreaking havoc. And the thing is, she already has a family in the form of the bears, but she still wishes for a real human family. And I mean, yeah, I mean, other than fictional situations, will we ever thirst for something that we already have?
What does it seem as Little Mermaid wanting to be on land, right?
What do you mean by that?
No, the Little Mermaid already has a home in the ocean, but she wants to be on land with her prince now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many other things that we can talk about, lah. But yeah, I am interested to see if there are poems or, art that explores this idea of desiring something that we already have.
That's interesting. Because I wanted to ask you that because like it seems that in romantic relationships, like sexual relationships, people tend to desire things that they don't have. Like for example, in gay culture, you'd have the jock being attracted to the twink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that the case for everyone? Or like
Wait, what did you say?
no, never mind, never mind. Let's move on to the next poem. Thirst by Mary Oliver.
Okay, can you pause it then I recalibrate